All right. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. We have a lot of updates today when it comes to what's trending in the news. We have a big update from the Social Security Administration when it comes to the estimated COLA increase for 2026. So, we're going to talk about what that is. We're going to go over some other headlines that just came out today and over the last couple of days regarding Social Security. Let's wait about 3 minutes, give some people some time to kind of hop into the video if you're watching live. If you're watching the recording, go ahead and fast forward like 2 or 3 minutes so we can get started. But we like to give people 3 minutes just so they can hop in and we can kind of go into the headlines all at the same time. Now, if you're joining us today, I want to thank you for supporting our community. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button if you like getting updates about Social Security benefits. And let me know in the comments, what state are you guys watching from? I love to hear from you. These videos and these live streams are a lot more fun when I hear from you guys in the comments. So drop a comment down. Let me know what state you guys are watching from. I always like to ask, let me know if you guys think President Trump's doing a good job. Let me know, what's kind of on your mind right now when it comes to Social Security. Are you interested in COLA? What's on your mind when it comes to politics and the economy? There's a lot of things coming out, with the riots in Los Angeles. We have inflation report that came out today, and the Federal Reserve made some announcements as far as what they plan to do with interest rates, which could affect, pretty much everyone. If you have debt, that's going to affect your interest rates potentially. If you're looking to buy a house, that could affect that as well. But the main thing here today, obviously, is Social Security, and we have an update when it comes to COLA. Again, we're just going to wait about 2 more minutes, give people time to hop in. But let's take a quick look at the headlines before we do hop in. You see here we have cost of living adjustment. COLA for Social Security may rise 2.5% in 2026. On top of that, we have other headlines when it comes to Social Security. Social Security claims skyrocket. So apparently lately there's been a lot more people applying for Social Security benefits relative to what's normal. So we'll talk about that a little bit, see what's going on. We also have a lot of headlines saying that the Supreme Court grants Doge access to Social Security data. There's been a lot of controversy about whether or not they should be giving Doge access since they're technically not, elected government officials. We all know what happened with Elon Musk. He was trying to clean up, waste and fraud, supposedly, which I don't trust him personally. And they took it to the Supreme Court as to whether or not his agency, Doge, should even have access to the sensitive info. At this point, he's not even a part of Doge, which is kind of crazy. But these are kind of the headlines here. But obviously, we're all here for Social Security. We want to see what the COLA is. Again, guys, let me know in the comments, what state are you watching from? And let me know what you think as far as Social Security benefits. Do you think this tax bill does enough for seniors, that big, beautiful tax bill? Let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, let's hop into it. Let's check out this first article here. It says Social Security cost of living adjustment may be 2.5% in 2026, new estimates find. So let's go through this article, see what's going on here. So Social Security beneficiaries may see a 2.5% increase to their monthly checks in 2026 based on new government inflation data released on Wednesday. Those estimates may be subject to change since there are 4 more months of data before the official cost of living adjustment for next year is announced. Here's what experts are watching in regards to the 2026 COLA adjustment. Millions of Social Security beneficiaries received a 2.5% boost to their benefits in 2025. That was this year's COLA, thanks to the annual COLA that went into effect in January. In 2026, Social Security checks may go up by the same amount, 2.5%, based on the latest government inflation data, which just came out today. According to new estimates, both the Senior Citizens League and Mary Johnson, who is an independent Social Security and Medicare policy analyst, she's pretty big in the space. She's kind of a thought leader, I guess you would say, in that space. That is up from 2.4%, from the 2.4% increase for 2026 that those same sources forecast last month. So it looks like last month the consensus was probably a 2.4% increase in 2026. Now the consensus seems to be a 2.5% increase for 2026. A 2.5% cost of living adjustment would be about average, according to Mary Johnson. Let me know in the comments if you guys know who Mary Johnson is. Carol Thompson, thank you so much for commenting. James, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in from Texas. Now let's take a look at this chart here. These are the Social Security COLA adjustments since 1976. So this is pretty interesting. Let's see if we can... No, it's about as big as it's going to get, but that's fine. So you see these charts here. Oh, it's pretty interactive, actually. That's great. Let's take a look here. So we remember, I believe 70s and 80s, or 70s had high inflation, so that makes sense. You had higher COLAs. But I mean, look at these COLAs compared to the current COLAs we're seeing now. We're seeing COLAs, let's check this out. In 1976, 8% COLA. 1977, 6.4%. Let's hop here. 1981, there was a 14.3% COLA. 1982, there was an 11%. Imagine having a 14% COLA. Just imagine that. James and I agree, 2.5 is not enough. And this is why they've been talking about fixing Social Security for years. Then you have certain people like Bernie Sanders, which I know a lot of you people don't like Bernie, some of you do, but he's the main one that's constantly fighting, saying, let's increase Social Security benefits. Let's make that annual COLA adjustment larger. I mean, look at these COLAs from the 80s, how large they are, and then the 90s. And obviously during this recession here in 2009, 2010, there was literally no COLA at all. Can you imagine having no COLA? Then once again in 2016, there was no COLA. Then there was 0.3% in 2017. Then for a couple of years, we had some decent COLAs, but obviously we also had some crazy inflation. In 2022, there was a 5.9% COLA. 2023, 8.7. Then there was a massive drop there, 2024, 3.2, and now 2.5. Obviously, these COLAs always tend to coincide with what inflation is. So, when you're getting these increases, you're also having increasing costs, especially a lot of you always comment that you get more in Social Security, but then your Medicare premiums go up. We might take a look at that later and see what the Medicare increase might be this coming year. But let's finish reading this article. The Social Security Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA, is an annual change to benefits aimed at helping to ensure monthly checks keep pace with inflation. We know that. Now, the official change is typically announced in October. So again, guys, this is an estimate. Obviously, they're not going to officially announce it until October, but usually these estimates are pretty close, right? So if we're in June and they're saying 2.5, we still have a few months left, but we're getting pretty close there unless something drastic changes. It's possible, but it's probably going to be about 2.5. With 4 more months of data yet to come before that calculation, the new estimate for the COLA is still subject to change. The COLA may move higher. Now, take this with a grain of salt because every article is biased. This is CNBC. They tend to be a little more, you could say a little more liberal, slightly, even though they're more business focused. But the COLA may move higher if President Trump's tariff policies prompt inflation and consumer prices increase, according to Johnson. Okay, so it's not them saying this. It's actually that woman, Mary Johnson. So yes, if we have more inflation over the next few months, the COLA could be higher than 2.5. If we have less than expected, we could have a lower COLA. The jury is still out, but right now the best estimate is 2.5%. Now, the measure used to calculate COLA, the CPI, for urban wage earners is up 2.2% over the last 12 months. While that inflation rate is lower than 2.5%, a survey finds that 80% of seniors feel inflation in 2024 was more than 3% based on their expenses. As the Trump administration has reduced the size of the federal workforce, that has also led to changes in the way the Bureau of Labor Statistics assesses inflation. The government agency has restricted data collection and turned to models that help fill incomplete data. Interesting. I'm going to read that again. As the Trump administration has reduced the size of the federal workforce, that has led to changes in the way the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics assesses inflation. The government agency has restricted data collection and turned to models that help fill incomplete data. That's interesting. Let's click on that and see if that says anything about that. No, I don't think it does. Okay. Well, for now, let me know your thoughts on that, guys. Again, I only have 3 people in the comments so far. I have 30 people watching this video. Please, if you're watching this video, I want all 30 of you to let me know, what state are you watching from? Just let me know in the comments and let me know what you think of a potential 2.5% COLA. Are you happy about that? Are you lukewarm about that? Is that okay? You're not feeling either way about that very much? Or are you angry about that? Do you think it's not enough? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Really quickly, I am going to glance through this article here. I want to see if they mention anything about this change in the CPI. Let's take a quick look. So we see CPI inflation came in at, the month to month was 0.1. So from April to May, inflation only went up 0.1%, month over month, not year over year. Let's take a quick look. A broad-based measure of goods, it was 0.1 month over month. The annual inflation rate at 2.4%. 2.4% is almost at 2%, which is their goal, which again is close to 2.5, which is the estimated COLA. This is the inflation rates all the way back to 2021. If we see the beginning of 2021 in January, which is right when former President Biden took office, inflation was at 1.4, which is crazy to even imagine at this point. Then just a year and a half later, we peaked at 9%. And I remember this. This is when people were talking about maybe inflation was going to go up to 20%. Maybe the COLA was going to be 20%. People were getting excited about the COLA itself, even though inflation was crazy. That ended up being the peak in retrospect. And then we dropped all the way down. Basically, we had a steep drop for about a year, from June 2022 to June 2023. After that year, that steep drop has turned to a slow, gradual drop over the last 2 years. So basically from June of 2022 to June of 2023, it took us about a year to go down 6% in inflation, from 9 to 3. 6% in 1 year. Over the next 2 years, we've gone down 0.7%. So it's that slow kind of drop back to normal. But that's what they expected, right? That's what they expected. Let's take a look at the Social Security headlines. Again, guys, let me know in the comments which state you guys are watching from. Love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Really quickly, let's take a look at this headline. Social Security claims skyrockets. What is happening with Social Security claims and why are they skyrocketing? Let's take a quick look here. Claims for Social Security benefits have skyrocketed since the beginning of 2025. So since the beginning of this year, data from the Social Security Administration reveals. Now, in fiscal year 2024, the administration processed 3.4 million retirement benefit claims in the entire year of 2024. So far this year, just in the first 6 months or so, let's take a look here. What happened? Just in the first 6 months ago, claims are up 13% year over year, amounting to over 276,000 additional claims compared to where they were this year, or at this time last year. Why does this matter? Social Security payments are sent to around 70 million Americans every month. If this trend continues, the administration is on pace to receive nearly 4 million online retirement claims in 2025, an increase of 525,000 claims, a 15% increase over 2024. That would mark a sharp rise given that from 2012 to 2024, the average increase was only 3%. So apparently from 2012 to 2024, the average increase in recipients applying was 3% every year as far as an increase. And this last year, it was 15%. So why is this happening? And let me know, guys, in the comments. Do you know people that are applying for their benefits more? Maybe your friends, your family. Potentially people are applying at an earlier age. I know a lot of times that's kind of a decision you have to make. Like, should you take it early? Should you take it at 62? Should you take it at your normal age? Or should you try and wait till you're 67, 70 years old to get an even bigger payment? Thank you, Maria from South Carolina. Appreciate you dropping a comment there. Now, the rise in claims could be attributed to several reasons. The most significant change to Social Security benefits this year has been the passage of the Social Security Fairness Act. We've talked about this before, but we'll quickly go over it. And this could potentially affect you in a positive way, or it could help someone that you know. So let's take a look at this. And let me know if you know about this already. Do you guys know what the Social Security Fairness Act is? Let me know in the comments if you do. Now, this eliminated the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset from the Social Security Act, meaning that they now qualified for Social Security benefits. These two things had reduced Social Security benefits for public sector workers who did not typically pay Social Security taxes. Now, these programs affected their own benefits even if they also worked jobs that did contribute. So essentially, they were penalized for paying into both, and their Social Security benefits were reduced. Some people didn't even qualify for Social Security benefits because of this. So essentially, this new act that was put into place at the end of Biden's administration, the Social Security Fairness Act, it allows more people to qualify for benefits and people that already qualified to get even larger benefits. Some 2.8 million people were impacted and became eligible for full Social Security benefits earlier this year. So a lot of people do think that part of the reason there's a lot more people applying for benefits now is because of that fact, right? Because of that Social Security Fairness Act. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you have just applied or just recently got on benefits because of the Social Security Fairness Act, or if you know someone that has. It'd be pretty interesting. Here is another interesting article as well, guys. Let's check this out. Trump's interest in Medicare cuts. Oh, what's happening here? So many pop-ups. Trump's interest in Medicare cuts is a warning about Social Security too. Keep in mind, guys, this is MSNBC, and I just want to kind of preface this. On this channel, I don't try and take sides politically. I'm not trying to be biased towards Democrats or Republicans. I've actually done a lot of polls on my channel, and surprisingly, half of my viewers are conservative and half consider themselves Democrat or liberal. So I'm not trying to pick sides here, but I'm going to show articles from both sides, right? Conservatives, liberals, and MSNBC is obviously a lot more liberal. So they're essentially saying that because Trump is interested in cutting Medicare, or the Republicans are, this could potentially be a warning about Social Security as well. So let's take a look and see what this article says about that. Obviously, a lot of people say that would be kind of a political, how do you say it politically correctly? This would be a political disaster for Republicans if they tried to attack or lower Social Security benefits. So this is saying, first he flipped on Medicaid. Medicare now is potentially on the chopping block. What is next? So as President Trump and billionaire Musk escalated their feud, Senate Republicans were escalating their search for spending reductions in the big, beautiful bill. So in the Senate, Republicans amongst themselves are arguing about that tax bill. Some people actually want more cuts, and they're saying they should extend these cuts into more cuts in Medicaid and potentially some cuts in Medicare. Now, that is what started the feud in the first place between Trump and Musk. Not satisfied with massive reductions to Medicaid, Republican lawmakers with the president's support now have Medicare in their sights. So supposedly Trump is on board with potentially cutting something in Medicare as well. I remember reading that they only want to cut waste and fraud, which obviously no one's against cutting waste and fraud. But then critics would say, well, cutting waste and fraud is really just a Trojan horse. It's really just kind of like a guise to say, yes, we're just cutting waste. But then they actually want to cut the benefits, right? So let me know your thoughts on that. But that's really kind of both sides of the argument there. Now, that would mean cuts to two of the U.S. government's three big entitlement programs, and Republicans' talking points could just as easily be turned against the third one, which is Social Security. The version of the big, beautiful bill that emerged from the House last month would add $2 trillion to the debts. We've already heard this. Some Republicans want to decrease the amount the bill adds to the debts. Others want to offset, making some of the bill's business tax incentives permanent. Rather than dialing back any of the tax cuts, which most of them go to the wealthiest people in this country, they have converged on increasing the bill's equally large amount of spending cuts. Normally, the first area where the GOP would look to reduce spending is anything that helps people like Medicaid and SNAP. But since that bill already includes cuts to these programs, some people are speculating that they could potentially try and cut Social Security benefits. Let's see if we can get deeper into this. It's kind of dragging on here. Let's see. Recall that in that same February interview, Trump promised Social Security will not be touched. Other than this fraud or something we're going to find. See, and that's where a lot of people get worried, because even though they said Social Security wouldn't be touched, they had Doge coming in and firing people, right? Making cuts to different departments. And then they actually went into Social Security when they're going through all the data. So once they start going under the hood and looking at things, some people get nervous, right? Do you trust them to not try and make cuts? It's complicated. Let me know your thoughts on that. Now, to make the cuts, it's going to have to be approved through Congress. It can't just be through executive order. From my understanding, even most of Social Security changes can't even be done through budget reconciliation, which is what they're doing here. It's kind of complicated, but basically the tool that they use to pass these tax bills is called a budget reconciliation. And apparently a lot of Social Security changes cannot even be done through that tool, right? So something that typically would have to be done through a supermajority, getting 60 votes in the Senate, not just the majority of 50. So let's keep reading this article. Take a quick look here. Conservative dogma forbids those solutions, preferring entitlement programs as targets. But again, Republicans over the years, and you've probably seen this as well, some Republicans have kind of towed that line and brought up, maybe we'll make some cuts or maybe we'll privatize it, but they always quickly walk that back. It doesn't sit well, because seniors are really a massive voting group in this country. If you're going to attack that, it's probably not going to go well for you. All right, let's take a quick look at the articles here. Let's see what else are in the headlines today when it comes to Social Security news. Let's take a look at this one here. This looks like it's, let's see, the WWF wife, Shane McMahon's wife. Education Department says it will not garnish Social Security of student loan borrowers in default. So there have been a lot of headlines recently where people are getting their Social Security payments garnished if they have debts. Shockingly and sadly, there are people that are already retired collecting Social Security and still have student loan payments they have to make. So according to this article, according to this WWF woman here, Linda McMahon, they will not be garnishing Social Security payments for student loan debt. Let's take a quick look here at this article. Now, borrowers who have defaulted on their federal student loans will no longer be at risk of having their Social Security benefits garnished, an Education Department spokesperson said. The government last month restarted collections for the millions of people in default on their loans. Yes, this is with student loans having been frozen for the better part of the last 5 years. An estimated 450,000 people aged 62 and older still have student loans in default, according to a January report from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So I actually didn't realize how massive of an issue this is. There's an estimated 452,000 people 62 and older who are in default of their student loans. That is insane. Completely insane. The department has not garnished any Social Security benefits since the post-pandemic resumption of collections has paused any future Social Security offsets, Ellen Keast said last week. The president's administration is committed to protecting Social Security recipients who often rely on a fixed income. So that's actually good to hear. With all the controversy, with all the criticisms, with all the back and forth about, do Republicans actually care about people on Social Security benefits? It's actually good to hear. It's a relief to hear that the Trump administration is committed to protecting Social Security recipients who often rely on a fixed income. And if you're in default of your student loans, they will not be garnishing your Social Security benefits. Now, guys, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to circle back and talk about COLA, because I know a lot of you joined late and you're really just here. You want to hear about COLA. We're going to wrap up this video in about 5 minutes. But I'm going to circle back here. Essentially, the Social Security cost of living adjustment is estimated currently for 2026 to be 2.5%. Again, they won't officially announce what that COLA is going to be in stone until October. There's only 4 months left, and when you get that close, really now you have 2/3 of the data. It's not going to change that much unless we have like a giant spike in inflation or a giant drop in inflation. It's probably going to be around 2.5%, but we'll glance over this article just really quickly for those of you who are just joining. So, Social Security beneficiaries may see a 2.5% increase to their monthly checks in 2026 based on new government inflation data released on Wednesday. Now, those estimates may be subject to change since there are still 4 more months of data before the official COLA is announced. Now, in 2026, they're expecting, at least as of now, a 2.5% increase. And who is saying this essentially? Now, the Senior Citizens League, which is a massive player in the space, and then Mary Johnson, who is an independent Social Security and Medicare policy analyst. So these two sources, really, they have a consensus right now of 2.5%. And again, if you're just tuning in, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this is adequate? Are you happy if it ends up being 2.5%? Are you upset about that? Do you think it's not enough? Do you think they should do a larger COLA increase? Or are you kind of in the middle? You think it's fine. You're not upset about it. You're not excited about it. Let me know your thoughts on the comments. Matter of fact, if you think this COLA is adequate, type yes in the comments. Type yes. If you don't think it's adequate, type no. If you think this COLA is not adequate, type no in the comments. Okay, and really quickly, and again, guys, just a reminder, if you like these Social Security updates and these news updates, please hit the subscribe button and please hit that like button as well. And really quick, let's just take a look at this graph. It's showing the COLA adjustments all the way back to the 1980s. It's pretty interesting to see here. In 1981, there was a whopping 14.3% COLA increase, completely insane. Obviously, that most likely coincided with inflation, so it probably just offset that, but it's kind of crazy to see how large those numbers were in the 80s. You've got 6.5, 9.9, 14.3, 11.2. Then if you come all the way up here, you're going to see obviously we peaked again in 2023 at 8.7. Then we've gone back down to 3.2 in 2024, then 2.5 in 2025 as well. But guys, that's about it for today's updates. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, are you happy with that 2.5%? What do you think about the education department saying that they're not going to garnish Social Security benefits if you default on your student loans? Let's quickly recap here. We also spoke about the Department of Government Efficiency. The Supreme Court did grant them access to Social Security data. So those are a few of the breaking headlines so far this week and today. We also covered the fact that some people speculate that Republicans have, in this bill, this tax bill, been targeting Medicare, SNAP benefits, or Medicaid, sorry, not Medicare. Those have been confirmed in the bill. Then they're trying to target Medicare as well. There's talks about potentially making some cuts there. So there's some worries here, some anxiety. Some people are saying, hey, if they're cutting these things, maybe Social Security is next. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen, guys. I'm just being pragmatic here. But let me know your thoughts on that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you to everyone that dropped a comment there. Carol, thank you so much for commenting. James, thank you for tuning in from Texas. James says 2.5% is crap. James, I agree with you there. And Maria said that COLA is not enough. 100% agree. And she is tuning in from South Carolina. All right, guys, thank you so much. Again, let me know your thoughts, and I hope to see you on the next video.